Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash entitled people. In today's episode, dear parents, your vacation is not your nanny's vacation. Maya Mile stole my collection of vintage skeleton keys to sell at pawn and buy herself a new phone, part 1. Neighbor helped herself to other people's stuff. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Dear parents, your vacation is not your nanny's vacation. My cousin, let's call her Amy. She currently is a nanny for a new family and it's going well. She made the mistake of not setting boundaries with the first family. When she was hired for the first job, she was told the family takes a vacation every year to the beach in Disney World, Florida, and how beautiful it is and how lucky she will be to be able to go. My cousin said her idea of a vacation would be to go skiing, noting the fact her idea for vacation is not theirs. So in August, the parents were beside themselves because Amy had not committed to going on vacation with them. The father said to her via email something along the lines of she should feel honored to be able to get a free trip to Disney World and how expensive it is she'll never be able to afford to go on her own, as if she wanted to go in first place. Here's the problem the family don't seem to understand. This is your vacation, not your nanny's. This family has 4 kids, ages 3, 6, 8, 12, and she works her ass off when she has them. My cousin said she was having panic attacks thinking about trying to keep 4 kids safe at Disney World because the parents are useless when she is around, save for times when the mother will want her to go to family outings, and the agreement is they work as a team. The family tried throwing in her face her airfare and travel would be paid for, so she would be expected to take a pay cut. There is no much more to this story, but I am so proud of my cousin for refusing to go and letting the family know this is a vacation for them, not her. Families who can afford a traveling nanny, let alone a nanny, is considered a luxury to most. You need that nanny go on vacation with you more than that nanny wants to go. So what is, God forbid, the nanny may end up enjoying herself one night. You should want your nanny to enjoy herself even if one night, so she will go next year. And stop with the cruelty your family that only leads to manipulation. Your nanny is your nanny. I remember at Disneyland, I saw this couple with their kids and a nanny, and when one of the kids got scared, the mother went to comfort the child, but the child completely ignored her and went to the nanny. That was very sad. I mean, that is what happens when you offload the job of being mom/dad to someone else. How many wealthy people have great close relationships with their parents? My sister had a nanny. We took her on holidays with us many times as a paid employee. All living expenses covered, her normal pay rate, plus overtime if she worked more than her contracted hours, plus extra if she had to take the kids anywhere chaotic, like the beach or a theme park, as a sort of danger pay, I guess. It did not count towards her annual leave, nor should it have. She also got her normal days off to do whatever she wanted, as she is also entitled to time off during the week. None of this was considered extraordinary. It is just how employees should be treated. Pay them what they are worth. Tell your cousin not to go. She needs to write the dad back and say your vacation is not my vacation. I don't feel confident keeping all 4 kids safe in a place I've never been. Also, my hours would be above and beyond the usual, so I would require additional/overtime pay, not a reduction of pay. Since you've made it clear you do not want to pay me more, I will see you when you return. Have a nice trip. This is already a nightmare in the making. Of course, they would pay for flight and hotel, but they would put kids with her. Of course, they have to pay her park pass, and for rides, she needs to follow the kids. But she needs to tell them this won't be her vacation, as she will be chasing the kids. We have 3 kids. These were called family trips, not vacations, until they got to the teen years or we went alone. Tell her to stand firm. Sorry for typos. I just found about his and am mad AF, needed to vent. This whole thing is insane to me. If you can afford a nanny, you can afford to pay and treat them well. My sister had a nanny. That nanny went with her and BIL on a trip for a wedding where she was paid extra for the fact that she was traveling. And then, as a massive thank you, my BIL basically told her to pick 2 weeks out of the calendar, decide where she wanted to go, and he would pay for her flight and hotel so she could have a vacation. But the nanny loved working for them so much that she never took the time off, and they still paid her a huge bonus. And that was all for 1 toddler. My son's girlfriend was a nanny to 2 adorable little girls. When the family went on vacation to the Caribbean, they asked her if she would come along as their guest. They even invited my son to accompany her. They paid for everything for them as appreciation for all of her hard work for their family. The parents spent all their time with their daughters, and my son and his girlfriend got a wonderful, all-expenses-paid vacation courtesy of that family. My MIL stole my collection of vintage skeleton keys to sell at pawn and buy herself a new phone, Part 1. My best friend recommended Reddit to begin with, has suggested this subreddit, and even said I should have posted here first. I'm dividing the post into two halves to make it easier to read. My MIL is insanely entitled, and my wife's enabling of her has made our marriage very hard at times. ML has come to us for money a lot because she keeps spinning herself into a hole since she's a hoarder and a shopaholic. Her house is full of garbage, junk, and unopened stuff she never uses. The house is rodent-infested too. She has one semi-clean room in the whole building, and it's the master bedroom. She's mocked it up like a little studio apartment with a futon to sleep on and use as a couch, an entertainment center with TV and streaming, and a makeshift kitchen consisting of the adjoining bathroom, a mini fridge, and a microwave. MIL's also overweight because she eats out a lot. Recently, MIL came to us wanting me specifically to buy her a new smartphone as an unprompted gift, and she threw a massive fit when I refused. And I mean a child temper tantrum kind of fit. Why did she want a new phone so suddenly? Hers was 2 years old. That's literally it. As far as I know, it still worked fine. Even my wife has confirmed this. But MIL was resolute that she deserved a new phone. And before leaving, MIL yelled at us that we're supposed to be pampering her now that she's an old woman. She's 53. My wife also didn't want to buy her mother the phone because she gave her money not long before to make sure her bills were paid. I have quite a collection of vintage skeleton keys. And I mean good ones. Like ones to particular hotels, the large ornate sergeants, brass railroad keys, reading hardware, etc. My collection as a whole should easily be worth $2,000 to $3,000. Some of those keys are super rare. I kept them in a locked display cabinet. But a few days ago, I came home to find my entire collection gone. The cabinet had been forced open. I checked the CCTV for the living room and saw my MIL4s open the cabinet with a small crowbar. She then put all the keys in a couple of boxes she'd brought with her and left with them. I called ML right away and demanded she return my collection. She nonchalantly told me she sold the entire collection at pawn already and used the money for her new phone, then said it was my fault and she had to do it because I wouldn't give her the money. My wife was seemingly on my side until I said I was going to call police. She begged me to just drop it and even suggested I just start a new collection. I refused to let it go because a lot of those keys are not only expensive, they're irreplaceable. I spent 10 years building that collection, but my wife kept blowing up at me and telling me to just let it go. So I slept in the guest room that night and sought online help the next day when my best friend told me to try Reddit. I'd been a lurker before, but making an account wasn't hard. My MIL has been trouble in the past, but this was the first time I know of that she'd stolen from us. I needed help, so I asked here. The resounding advice finally made me pull my head out of my bum to realize I was the only one keeping my marriage afloat, and it would likely never get any better if my wife wasn't on my side when her own mother steals something irreplaceable from me. Now to answer some quick questions I got before. 1. How did MIL get into the house? My wife unilaterally gave her a key when we moved in. That's why. 2. Why did I have CCTV cameras in the living room? Really? Wouldn't you do that if you had something valuable on display there? 3. Is MIL on drugs? No idea. She's always been crazy. 4. Did MIL steal from us before? Not that I have been able to tell. And I've checked everything I could think of. 5. What kind of phone did MIL get? Not a clue. But probably one of the cheaper smartphones with the amount of money she got selling my stuff. Unless she's on a payment plan. 6. Did my wife use my money to placate her mother before? Yes, she did. We primarily have separate accounts. But we do have a joint account we pay the bills with, so it's not used for savings. In 2 years of marriage, I'd say it happened roughly 5 times. Every time my wife took money from the joint account for her mother, she always replaced it on her next payday. Though in hindsight, I think she only did so because she knew I'd never let it go, because she would always have an attitude with me for a few days after. I was in a bad marriage fog before, but this whole situation has snapped me right out of it. 7. Will I lock down my credit? Already I have. Though I'm not sure my wife or her mother would be so stupid to do something like that after Mil was recently arrested. I have gotten my collection back and hidden it somewhere my wife and Mil have no idea where it is. I'll provide more detail in another post tomorrow. Edit. Since it keeps being mentioned, yes, I did call police. Yes, an arrest was made. Yes, my wife is a soon-to-be ex know that I'm taking many precautions right now. Report her to the police. It's the only way to deal with self-absorbed, narcissistic woman. And I think that you should accept that your wife is always going to enable and defend her behavior. You should change the locks to your home and tell your wife in no uncertain terms that her mother is not to have a new key. That won't do any good. She has skeleton keys after all. What did you have to do to get your keys back? Police returned them to me at the station after a couple of days. It's not getting better. It will only get worse. File with the police and provide the video. They may be able to get back some, if not all, of your collection. If your wife is willing to allow her mother to steal from you, then there really isn't even a marriage anymore. You need to lock down your credit and accounts. Your wife isn't willing to tell her no. Neighbor helped herself to other people's stuff. Several years ago, I heard my sweet neighbor and another woman arguing on the sidewalk. I looked closer and noticed they were both pulling a plant pot in different directions and about to fight. No clue what was up, but knew my neighbor. If she was arguing, she was right. Me and my husband went over to intervene. My husband wanted to help make peace. Me? I was going to help my neighbor, no questions asked. Why the argument? The other woman was a new neighbor. Our nice neighbor noticed her plant pots were missing and were in the new neighbor's yard. Yep, new neighbor had stolen nice neighbor's plants, plant pots, and yard decor and decorated her yard with it. My nice neighbor had hand-painted several pots that were in her yard. Thus, they were easy to identify as hers. We all walked over to the new neighbor's yard to get our other neighbor's stuff back. When we got to the new neighbor's yard, we noticed several things looked both weird and very familiar. Oh yeah, and the new neighbor had called the cops on us, or at least someone did. Anyway, the new neighbor had planted patches of different types of grass all over the yard in a checkerboard pattern. As well, mismatched shrubs and flowers. I looked at our house a little closer. Yep, we were missing grass patches from the side of the house and one of our shrubs. When the police arrived, the new neighbor was adamant the plants, pots, grass, shrubs, and yard decor were hers. She informed the cops she dug them up from other yards in the middle of the night and planted them. Yep, she claimed finders keepers. Didn't quite work out. My nice neighbor insisted on pressing charges for petty theft and destruction of property. We just dug up our grass patches and replanted them. Some of them even survived it. Nosy neighbors kept walking by after the new neighbor was arrested. As we were digging things up, we explained why to them. Neighbors kept recognizing their stuff from her yard. One neighbor asked if we'd seen a picnic table as his was missing. We hadn't thought to check the backyard. Yep, picnic table and a yard full of her finders keepers haul. She moved pretty much right afterward. We didn't miss her. Edit. For those pointing out that it's petty and not petty theft. Thank you. However, petty theft is correct by Florida law. Yes, this happened in Florida. It might explain a lot. Florida law, Section 812.014, petty theft is defined as when a person steals property from a person or business valued at less than $750. WTF, who walks into someone else's yard and just takes stuff. Finders keepers, not if it's on someone else's property. LOL, who cuts patches of grass out of someone's yard and then just displaying it in your own garden in full view of the people you stole it from? Like, how did she think she was going to get away with that? Some people just need violence. My sweet neighbor? Yup, she was there. I'd never seen her mad before. Sounds like undiagnosed mental illness. I don't keep any decor in the front yard anymore. I had a metal sun on a post that I had right up next to my porch and had someone walk up my sidewalk and yank it out of the ground and try and walk off with it. They just didn't notice me sitting with my back against a tree, kind of out of the way taking a break from yard work. Stopped the would-be thief and asked her WDF she was doing and got something along the lines of that she thought it was free since it was out in front of my house. That takes entitlement to a new level. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.